Hey guys, what's going on, friends, family? Today's video is a rant, and I'm gonna definitely cut down on these with the 2020. I just kind of wanted to get it out of my system and also ask you guys what kind of platform I should use for rants. Should I make a podcast, or should I just focus on streaming or something like that? Or should I kind of turn these into essays, a little bit more higher, highly edited or something like that? Would that be more worth the while? I don't know, because I turn to topics that most people kind of don't talk about at all, or it's very alleviated, the overall like dialogue around these topics or genres. But I definitely wanted to mention today's. It's something that a lot of my supporters directly through Patreon and the people that hang out in Discord a lot, by the way, links in the description for all that good stuff. They talk about these smaller MMOs, and they want me to kind of highlight it, spotlight it, shout it out. They want me to talk about private servers MMOs, which I definitely have a list video on those. It's just taking me a while to really run through them and really understand, the gist of it. And they want me to cover these games in very unique ways, because these smaller MMOs, you kind of don't like review them like you would a normal game. It's like a totally different experience. And that's kind of what I wanted to make a video on. Maybe this should have been an essay, because I feel like these games really deserve that sort of attention. And maybe I will redo this video as one. That could be nice. But I just wanted to immediately just spit something out. I just wanted to say to you guys, those who are really, you're evading a lot of these games because they're not popular. Maybe they might even be dying, or maybe they are private servers or something like that. Or it's like, well, my friends haven't heard of it, so why should I play it? What's the point? What's the, an MMO, and this is something that I still believe, but an MMO is always better the more people are in it, to an extent. But, really better, worse? My feelings are definitely changing, and I definitely think that the waters are muddy with that. Actually, I think there's a lot of games, I actually just recently covered Hordes.io, and remember that video? There were too many players. The game wasn't really balanced around it. So aside though from breaking a game from being too popular, if a game is extremely low population, can that be a good thing? Can that be great? Is the inverse of overpopulation kind of exciting for some people? And I'd have to say, based on, because I actually become acquainted with some of you guys. I see you in the comments over and over again. I do read every single comment. Obviously talk with you guys in the Discord, and I notice the trends of type of games that you like and that you want me to play. And you constantly suggest, like, oh, play this superhero MMO, and then you're like, oh, play this other niche MMO. Play this. I get it. It's like you are specifically playing not just niche MMOs, not just hidden gem MMOs, or games really, period, but you kind of play these online games, and it seems like you're really gravitating towards these more niche, or I want to say tight-knit communities. And then I started thinking, on that, like, why would someone play, with a small community in the first place? But if it's a tight-knit community, which has been my experience playing a lot of these games, even really toxic ones like Darkfall, oh my god, playing all these games, the community and the forums are they're really buzzy, and they're buzzy with real dialogue, and sometimes they can lead to personal attacks. Darkfall, it can be really toxic, and it can be cringy sometimes, but kind of going around the role play or something like that. It's not just role play, guys. There's like real human connections to be made, which you sometimes can't in passing. When it comes to MMOs. One MMO that I love, which I think is the most social MMO, is Guild Wars 2, but it's social in a particular type of way. It's very easy with open world questing and bosses and jump in, jump out dungeons and etc., but in the end, with all the events and everything you could do, meaningful connections sometimes come from inverse style gameplay, something that you might get in RuneScape or more classic MMOs, or stuff like vanilla World of Warcraft, where things are harder. And it is more difficult and seemingly more antisocial, but those antisocial mechanics force you to kind of get around them by socializing or sticking with a party and making a guild and creating a tight-knit group or community. There's definitely different ways of being social. There's different ways of experiencing that sort of MMO magic. And it's weird because MMOs are massively multiplayer, but maybe there's some true magic to be had in those unmassively multiplayer MMO. I don't know. It's really weird. I went actually to a convention for Toontown Rewritten, and I was watching my ex-roommate. She's a streamer, twitch.tv/Icy and Ashley, where she used to stream. She should get back into it. She was really good at it, but she used to play Toontown, and I would watch her, and I want to jump back into Toontown because it's a historic game. And the experience she had, and when I went to the convention, it was really cool. Again, this is sort of a rant, and I didn't know how to do an essay on this because this is a very ethereal emotion, but that closeness, that sort, I don't know, it's almost like it's a humbleness of the game as well. It's not so competitive. Generally it can be, they can be, but I'm just saying, it's not the sport. It's not a sport. You don't really have this air of commercialness, kind of. It's really just, okay, here's a world and we live in it. This is our park. This is our community. This is our neighborhood. And it's a totally different feel than a mall or like a shopping strip or, a city downtown. Exactly. Both are social in their own ways, but this is just that twist that's a little bit different. I really wish more MMO had these features emphasized, in these big AAA massive games. Like I said, Classic WoW is a big popular game that has some, tight-knit community style mechanics. Even things like being forced to take the Zeppelin to go somewhere. As long as you're actually moving through the world, or you exist in the world, and you have these encumbering, or you have these sort of difficult things to move through. Maybe literal group content leads in the open world. Things like that are obvious, but things that really make you cooperate with players, it changes the game. And when you have so little players that you can't just bump into someone and just happen to get something done super easily, and somebody has to really go out of their way to help you, or you have to go out of your way to help them and communicate. It's like, yeah, MMOs are awkward and shit, and it can be such a time sink and such a grind. But these small games, even though a lot of them are kind of bad on paper, maybe like they're really slow, or they look older, or maybe they are just really straightforward, but it's that the MMO, what makes an MMO special is that social experience, and that really enhances it. I have to say that, when I first look at EverQuest Worlds, before I actually got a tour by the creator, I was like, wow, this is kind of a bogus game. Because I was just looking at the bullet point list of mechanics. I was just looking at the graphics, and I'm like, what's the point? But then when I actually talked to the creator and I was talking with the community, and I was like, this, okay, yeah, no, this MMO is a completely community-driven MMO. They even have concerts in-game, which is pretty wild. So these games that really focus on their community, even though it's small, or because it's small, maybe they're allowed, they can allow themselves to do that. It's so special. So I think that's why RuneScape is doing great. I thought, that's why old school or classic World of Warcraft did really good. And I want to see more bigger MMOs take that approach. Absolutely. But if you aren't getting that, if you're just jumping from MMO to MMO and you just feel like it's just this big kind of like flat commercial waste of time and space, then maybe you should be going and playing these really weird games like Toontown, like Warhammer Return of Reckoning, or there's like a superhero MMO you guys might want to check out. Maybe go back to some older games. And yeah, no, they're not super duper popular or crazy bumping hype right now, but the experience that you can have in that is a unique one. Not only like the gameplay, which, those people are playing that game for a reason, but the gameplay combined with the social aspect, which again, that's really why you play MMOs. So even though they might technically not be massive, there's actually some times where I played a game like Meridian 59, believe it or not. I just played it with one other person, Oxid, a moderator on my Discord. Thank you so much for joining me with that. And I had such a good time. So can you just play an MMO alone? I don't know. With one friend, a group of friends, a small Discord community, just jumping on and goofing around. Just again, just using the MMO space as a world, as a platform, again, as a park, as something like that you just go and just be a part of a community as an excuse to socialize. That sounds really cheap, like when people are like, oh, just turn your brain off. I understand that, But at the same time, I just don't know the words to explain it to you better other than you have to try it. And there absolutely is a difference when you play small, tight-knit community MMOs. There is a reason why people do specifically play those kind of games. And there's nothing wrong jumping from game to game and looking for a home, looking for a space, and trying to make friends. It's totally cool. There's you know, a lot of really, even in Darkfall, the most toxic game I've ever played, there was a lot of really friendly people actually in that. So don't be afraid, guys. You know, dip your toe into the water, find out what's under the surface. It's pretty interesting. It might seem like a pond, but you know what? The water's fine. So that's all I gotta say, I guess. Much love, friends and family. I will definitely try to cover more of those style of games, these classic re-releases, fresh start servers, these online games that, you know, are niche, special games no one plays, hidden gems. I'm gonna be up all in that, definitely. So hope you guys join me for that. Keep the hype alive. I'll see you again next time.